There was a medical side to Colin Powell's story that we learned about yesterday. He was fully vaccinated, but we also now know that he was suffering from blood cancer and died from complications of COVID-19. So take us through what that means, knowing that you did not treat Secretary Powell.
Right. Yeah, I'm obviously just basing everything I know based on what we've heard publicly.
Right.
Look, blood cancers like multiple myeloma are very, very serious. Also, you don't get the same immune response from the vaccine because your immune system, your immune cells, your white blood cells are actually involved in the cancer itself. So what we know is that he was fully vaccinated, got both shots, had not yet had a chance to get a booster, and his immune system was not adequate to protect him. And that's why he ended up having a breakthrough infection that ended up unfortunately killing him. This is part of what happens. The reason we want to have high levels of immunity in the population is there are vulnerable people among us who need us to protect them. It's not just about us, it's about them as well.
So, okay, so based on what we know, 84 years old, he did have a history of prostate cancer and Parkinson's disease. Would a booster shot have helped, or is this case really just an outlier?
It would have helped. It would have helped. Again, I don't have all the details on what therapy he was getting, but the bottom line is that people with cancer who are immunocompromised are helped by a booster. And how much they're helped really varies based on their specific cancer, their specific therapy. It would have helped, but whether it would have been enough for him, I don't know.
I know the question that many of my viewers are probably asking right now as they watch from their family rooms, bedrooms, and kitchens. Why are we seeing so many breakthrough cases right now if so many people are vaccinated and have either had the virus or are fully vaccinated?
Yeah, look, these vaccines are terrific, but they're about 80–90% protective at preventing infections. They're even more protective at hospitalization. So if you think about it, in a typical day in America, over the last month, we've had 150,000 infections in a day. I wouldn't be surprised if 1,000 or 2,000 of those are people who've had a breakthrough. And even if it's 95% protective against hospitalizations, 10, 20, 30 people are going to be hospitalized every day with a breakthrough infection. Some of them will even end up dying. Most of them are people who are immunocompromised, people who are chronically ill. But the bottom line is the vaccines are terrific. They're not 100%. Nothing is 100%, and these vaccines get close, but they're not 100%.
And just to be clear, Secretary Powell was in the highest possible risk category, almost 85 years old, somebody with blood cancer, Parkinson's disease, and other ailments as well. I want to talk about kids ages 5 to 11 for a moment and vaccinations. Do you think that we could be in another confusing situation in the not so distant future where young kids are required to get vaccinated to go to public school, but then they're also still being told to wear masks?
Yeah, look, first of all, let's get this vaccine authorized. I think it's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. I have a 9-year-old who's, by the way, refuses to reveal what he's going to be for Halloween, but he will get vaccinated. And my general take is as kids get vaccinated, as infection numbers come down, we can absolutely pull back on masking for kids in school. I've always been of the opinion that really should be driven by vaccination numbers and infection numbers in the community. As vaccinations go up, infection numbers will come down. As that happens, we should absolutely pull the mask mandates and really let kids be in school without masks.
Dr. Jha, just 10 seconds quickly. Is it okay to mix and match boosters with what you had originally with the vaccines? That's still okay?
Absolutely. All the data suggests no downside, maybe a little upside, but definitely no downside.
Could be a lot of Kike Hernandez costumes in and around the Boston area. Maybe. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but maybe. Tell you what, I might go as him. We could go as him together. A couple of Red Sox players,
All right.
All right. That would be fun. I got to get up there. I know. I got to get up there to Rhode Island, and we can trick or treat around Brown. All right, Dr. Jha, good seeing you as always. Go Sox. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
All right, a lot more to come here on Wake Up America this morning. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, Emma Reckenberg here. If you like this video, there's a whole lot more to see on Newsmax TV. You can watch for free right here on our YouTube live stream and be the first one here each time our experts break down real news. Just hit that subscribe button, ring the bell icon, and stay with us on America's fastest growing cable news channel, Newsmax TV.